Game of the Year or JRPG of the Year. And Nintendo Switch 2 pre-orders. Were you able to get one? We're going to talk about all that and more in the latest episode of Decked Up, a gaming and tech podcast. Let's get into it. Oh, welcome everyone to another episode of Decked Up, a gaming and tech podcast. I'm your host, Mekel Kasanova. And today I want to talk about a couple of things because we've got a lot that's going on right now as far as this phenomenal game that is available. And if you haven't already played it, you need to get up and go and play it, which is none other than Clair Obscure Expedition 33. I have had so much fun playing this game. Like, this game has been something that I literally spent Friday night, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. I didn't even touch it yesterday, which was Monday. Today is April 29, 2025 at the time of this live stream and recording. But I spent all weekend playing that game, and let me tell you, that game is so good. Like, honestly, I didn't believe the hype of it because I honestly thought that it was a game that was just being overhyped because you had the your traditional JRPG YouTubers, like the folks who cover Final Fantasy to death. They make all the essay videos, they extrapolate and look into everything with like a fine tooth comb, and then they act like the authorities. Yeah, those folks, they were the ones who were pushing this game so hard. And I didn't believe the hype because I understand the content creator game. And it's you do everything to get people to look at you, to look at what you're doing, what you're talking about, and then you can monetize it. So I thought that is what they were doing. Man, I am happy to say I was wrong because this game, oh my god, this game is so good. It really, now I am willing to say that this is probably the best game that I played, best RPG that I played in roughly the last 20 years or so. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, that's a high benchmark to say. All right, let me put some parameters on it. Let's say this is the best JRPG that I have played, in my opinion, since Lost Odyssey. Y'all remember that game? If you didn't play it on the Xbox 360, if you haven't, picked it up on the digital storefront and played it on your Series X or Series S or even your Xbox One, man, you missed out. That game is so good. That was one, and that was made by Hironobu Sakaguchi and Miss Walker Studios. If you guys are familiar with Miss Walker Studios, you guys know they recently put out Neo Fantasian Dimension. That game was a love letter to classic Final Fantasy, and then Square Enix published it on all platforms. Originally, it was available on Apple Arcade on every different platform out there. So, um, yeah, that game was great. But Miss Walker has made a lot of phenomenal games over the years. They've made Blue Dragon, which if you guys haven't played it, you should play it, especially if you like Dragon Quest. Now, it's not a one-to-one with Dragon Quest, but it is a game that had Hironobu Sakaguchi. They also had Nobuo Uematsu. He also had Akira Toriyama. Rest in peace to the goat. And that was a great game that came out. I want to say Blue Dragon was 2007, 2008. That game came out. Then you had Lost Odyssey, which for me was the true Final Fantasy 12, or you can even say technically is a true Final Fantasy 13, just in every way, shape, and form. a lot of people slept on it because it came out on Xbox, which I think if it came on PlayStation, it probably would have done a whole lot better. But we're not going to waste time digressing on that. Um, so you had that. Then you had oh my god, the phenomenal, the absolute phenomenal, The Last Story. I don't know how many of you guys got to play that. It was on the Wii. It was part of Operation Rainfall, which you had Xenoblade Chronicles. You also had The Last Story, and you had Pandora's. Yo, what's up, Gaming Chick? How you doing? What's the name of the other game? Pandora's something. I can't think of it. You guys can remind me if you guys remember what that last title was for Operation Rainfall. I have that game, and it is crazy. That game was so good. But The Last Story was phenomenal. And a lot of people didn't play it. A lot of people slept on it. It was so good. One of my current oldest daughter, her name is Zale, and I named her after the main character, Zale, that's in The Last Story. That game is so good. Anyways, I'm letting you guys know all that to say, hey, Neo Fantasia, that game was great. And tying that back to Lost Odyssey, Lost Odyssey was a game that was so phenomenal. A lot of people didn't get to experience. However, if you play Clair Obscure Expedition 33, and if you love um, Lost Odyssey, you love classic RPGs, then you're gonna love Clair Obscure. Pandora's Tower. There you go. Thank you. That was the name of it. I was like, man, I couldn't for the life of me think of the name of it. But yeah, um, Clair Obscure Expedition 33. I think it's one of the best RPGs, or to me at least, that I played in the last 20 years. Not the absolute best, because Lost Odyssey and that are kind of neck and neck for me. But in a traditional turn-based RPG, it's one of the best ones. Now, a lot of people have been asking me, like, hey, what what goes into making it good? Like, why are you praising this game? Like, what makes it stand out? What is it like a lot of people have looked at the trailer, they can't exactly tell what makes it unique. And so I kind of want to break it down to you, because it's an amalgamation of multiple different types of games. You've got pretty much, if you're used to like Metaphor Refantasio, or if you've played Persona 5 or Persona 4 or 3 Reload, then you'll have an idea. Like, it has that type of fast paced dynamicness to its combat, but it also pulls something from, I'm like, do I have it near me? I'm looking, I'm like, I don't have it near me, but it not only pulls, kind of like the QTE ring system from Lost Odyssey, but for the real OG art JRPG fans, it pulls from uh the last not last Legend of Dragoon. I could also say it pulls from Legend of Legaia, and it most definitely pulls from Shadow Hearts and Shadow Hearts Covenant. I don't know if you guys remember that, but I was like blown away. Gaming Chick says visually it's generic RPG. If you watch the trailer, it's one of those you have to experience. Yes, it is. Yeah, like literally, if you look at it, which I think is where a lot of the confusion from a lot of people trying to figure out like what to make of this. If you just look at the trailer, you're not going to understand really you're not going to even know what to make of it, because it just looks like, a generic dark fantasy. I mean, visually, I'd say it's like an amalgamation of looking like, let's say, uh, Elden Ring and Final Fantasy 16. If you want to have like an idea what it visually looks like, um, you could even throw in like something like Skyrim if you want to. It's a dark fantasy, right? It's set in a fictionalized version of Paris, France. You're on Luminaire. That's where you start. That's not where you end up. But it visually looks, you know, it looks good, although generic RPG, true. But once you start playing it, battle system, like I said, it's that amalgamation, Persona, Legend of Dragoon, uh, Legend of Legaia, Lost Odyssey, a lot of classic Final Fantasy. And honestly, the one Final Fantasy game that this really pulls from that I don't know how many people are even aware is it pulls very heavily from Final Fantasy 9. And when I say it pulls heavily from Final Fantasy 9, the reason I'm saying that is because it literally pulls the there's the system in it, Final Fantasy 9, where you equip certain accessories or armor, weapons. You use them enough, you start to gain the abilities. Now that's incorporated into Clair Obscure Expedition 33 with Pictos, right? And not only with Pictos, but also with your weapons. Certain weapons that you equip, depending on how you level up the weapon, you can get different stats. Now you can upgrade weapons, you can level them up and such. It is very, very dynamic in that sense. And I'm like, man, I, you know, it's you could tell that the people who created this game, they absolutely love the JRPG genre, and they played a wide, and it's crazy, 33 people made this game. They played a wide plethora of games, and they took the best aspects of different games and put them all into one, which is absolute insanity to me. Um, it's the Game Chick says, to me, it's the best big budget indie title since Kenna Bridge of Spirits kind of throws its own feces at AAA studios. Yo, that's Kenna Bridge of Spirits. That's another game I feel a lot of people unfortunately slept on, which was an amazing, amazing ending indie game that you need. If you haven't played it, you need to go and play it right now because it's that good. But it literally is this is an indie game made by 33 people, right? Which is interesting. Expedition 33 made by 33 people. Um, this is a game with such a great story. I'm not gonna spoil the story or talk about anything like that, but the story is so good. Like, in a sense of, if I were to compare, if anyone who is if you like anime, if you want a close anime comparison, I would say, and this is the example that I gave, and I know Lehu and Superfina agree with it too. But there's an anime series called To Your Eternity, and it's about this being called Fushi, who basically just lives for an eternity. Um, I don't want to go into the specifics of that story, but let's just say in season one, at the end of every episode, is literally a gut. It's not only a gut punch, you get shanked, just guts just spilling out everywhere. Like, you are left feeling devastated. This is every single episode of season one. Like, that is just like you are emotionally drained at the end of every episode. Your spirit is broken by the time uh you get to the end of the first season. And then season two is, it feels like it's complete opposite. Like they went a whole different direction. It's more upbeat, it's more cheery. But by the time you get to the end, you get gut punched, shanked, blown up, peed on, pooped on. You just feel like utter crap. That's how uh To Your Eternity makes you feel. God forbid you read the manga, it makes you feel even worse. But it's great narrative building because it's building towards something. And it also speaks on, really, it touches on the reality of life, of how we're here for a finite amount of time, and no matter what we get attached to, things eventually wither and pass away. People, things, situations, relationships. It's a social commentary. Expedition 33, it gives you that. It is a gut punch over and over and over and over again. And it's just, oh my god, it's crazy. Let me put this up on the screen. Let's see. There we go. Gaming Chick says, I had a tough time not speaking story in my review, swelling and feels. It does completely, completely, completely. It feels you say it's also similar to Blade of the Immortal. Yes, it's very much like that. It's one of those things where it's like you really have to understand going into this. Don't look up any story beats. Like literally, stay off of the Reddit, stay off of look, go check out Gaming Chick's reviews because she makes phenomenal reviews. Like she's really one of the best in the business that does it. Like if you want an idea of the gameplay and everything like that, check out her review. Uh Look up some reviews that are spoiler free. Like if you Google it, just put spoiler free. But you need to go into the story of Expedition 33 blind. Like I said, I've got people asking me about it. I'm just like, oh, well, here's a combat system. This is what it's like. What's the story? I'm not telling you. I'm so not telling you. I cannot tell you because I don't want to spoil that. That is the story is the creme de la creme of this game. The gameplay, now I've seen some people say that the gameplay seems repetitive and all this other stuff. And the commentary I've seen about that, I've seen Reddit posts, I've seen on a couple people that posted on X and other social media platforms, and I'm like, if the combat feels repetitive, that tells me you're still early on in the game. Now, the prologue, you get used to the combat. You go to chapter one. Chapter one doesn't give you the full scope of the combat, but it lets you feel comfortable until it shifts the paradigm on you. Chapter two does the exact same thing. You keep, you know, 15 hours in, you're still learning new things, new ways of combat. Now, it's not like the typical RPG where you get your controller, you just select your attack, you just press the button, and you just go from there. It's not like that. It's not like the traditional turn-based RPG. You can't just turn your brain off because one of the things that it has you doing is you either have to parry attacks that are coming in or you can dodge them. Now, as you get further in the game, you're gonna have to do that. Now, if you're like a lot of people I know where you don't have the capability or the reflexes of being able to perfectly dodge or parry, you can turn that off or turn on like the easy story mode and go in the settings and whatnot if you want the tradition, you just want to play through the story. But man, the gameplay is so dynamic. It is so dynamic. Gaming Chick says, then you get people getting mad for not spoiling it. Oh, you didn't even play the game then. Then if you tell them the story, they get mad for spoiling it. Like, WTF, I know, like, I I haven't even beaten the game. I'm like 25 hours into the game. I'm probably gonna finish it this weekend. This is something that I've been enjoying playing. Lehu and I are playing this together, and it's like, I'm like, I'm not going ahead until she gets, we're together playing it. Like, I can't really tell you the last time I have played an RPG where I'm just like, I can't put it down. Like, I'm literally forcing myself, like, put the controller down. But now let me give you a visual example. I got the controller. I'm like, put it down. No, put it down. No, put it down. No, you know, I'm like exhausted. I'm like, just one more story bit. Like the way the story just in captures you is just so freaking good. And the thing is, like, I don't want to talk to nobody about the story until like until they played the game. Let's see. Game Chick says, I'm willing to ride or die by the parry system for better or worse. It is. It's to the parry system. Here's the thing: is like a lot of people I've seen are like, man, it takes forever to beat the boss. Is trying to use the different skills, the different attacks and everything. Now, for anyone who may not understand how skill systems and everything else works, there are functionalities in the game that are, if you like Xenoblade Chronicles 1, 2, or 3, or even Xenoblade Chronicles X, or if you like Xenosaga, uh, it pulls from that too, because you have a system in it where like you can basically break, topple, and then do all kinds of other things. Now, how it works in this game is if you can certain characters, like if you got Gustav, he's the main character. That's all I'm gonna say right now. But if you have Gustav and you have him do an attack that puts mark on your enemy, the next thing you're gonna need to do is if you've got somebody else, like CL or something, that can do an attack that damages or even oh god, I can't think of her name right now. Fencer girl, Miley. If you have Miley and you have her equipped with the ability that does additional damage to those who have the mark status, then you can just start stacking up attacks. If you've got the capability of casting fire and you can put the burn status, that means, man, that's gonna start taking out people too. Like it's just like there's just so many. This is one of the few RPGs I've played in recent years where how you play is so absolutely critical. Like if there's so much strategy, you cannot just turn your brain off and play. Every battle is a battle of you needing to be um mentally present in the moment to be able to do what you want to do. That is how it is. It is such a dynamic thing. Let me put this up on the screen. Um, Gaming Chick says, I put about 60 hours into it. Tell myself I'll take a short break. Look at clock, it's been 7 years. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. She says, I feel Fantasia and Expedition 33 are the only ones who play like classic JRPGs that have done world maps. Yes. That's the other thing too, is when you get to the overworld, like when you go the way you get to explore other worlds. I'm like, yo, this took me back to JRPGs that I grew up with in the 90s and early 2000s. That is because if you really think about it, Final Fantasy, with the exception of Final Fantasy 11, 12, um, 15, 16, and 14. When it came to overworlds, Final Fantasy 10 got rid of the overworld and just gave you a map. So you're just selecting where you're going to go on the map. Final Fantasy just kind of has slowly been doing away with the overworld when you leave a town, a village, or a dungeon. This right here gives you that overworld and it does it so right. So you're running around this big map, and that's not even talk. I'll get to the map in a minute because the map is huge. I mean, I didn't even know I was going to go 23 minutes talking about this game, but that's how much this game. That's how good this game is. Shout out to Xbox for letting me be a Game Pass creator because that I'm playing it through Game Pass. I didn't get a review code for this game, uh, but I am playing it via Game Pass. It's on there, so you can play it via PC Game Pass. You can play it via Game Pass Ultimate. I'm telling you, so worth it. If you got an Xbox Series S or Series X, you need you need you need to play it. I would have loved to have been able to play it on PlayStation. Unfortunately, I didn't get a code. Like it is what it is. Nothing's guaranteed, people. That's just how it goes in this creator economy. What I did do is I purchased a physical copy off of Amazon yesterday. It should be. Here's the crazy part. It ain't coming until June. June 1st is when that's getting delivered. Like if you're trying to get a physical copy of the game for PlayStation, good luck. Good luck. You say Gaming Chick says, I need my overworld map fixed, damn it. I'm like Batista, give me what I want. You know what I want. I know, right? Oh my goodness. No, yeah, so I ordered a physical copy of the game because I'm the type that if a game is really good, I want to support the developers by getting a physical copy of the game. Um, but yeah, I ordered it off of Amazon. It's not coming in until around I want to say roughly it's going to be around June 1st or so is when the physical copy is going to come in. I might even just buy a digital copy for PlayStation just so I can be like, yo, I'm supporting it, across the board. The game is that good. It is that good, guys. I'm not even lying. So yeah, overworld map. You're thinking, okay, I'm just going to run from point A to point B. Okay, here's where they switch that up. You get a mount that allows you to like go faster from point A to point B, but you can also use this mount. Eventually, the mount will get. I'm just gonna say the mount because I don't want to say their names because what, and who the mount is ties into the story, and I don't want to spoil that. But this mount eventually gets the ability for you to swim. They eventually give you the ability to break through different things, to go to areas that previously have been locked off. And there's more stuff too. There's more stuff it allows you to do. And like I said, it's tied to story. I don't want to touch on that right now. Game Chick says, it's what I did for Kenna. I was like, okay, these devs need love, bought physical. Same. Same. We always say vote with your wallet, right? When it's something good, buy it. Buy a physical copy of it. Support the devs. Oh goodness. Okay, talking about the world map when it comes to Clair Obscure Expedition 33. The world map is freaking huge. 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 Like, I am blown away. I was like 10 hours into the game at one point, and I'm like, this map is massive. Like, how is this map this huge? I was just blown away by it. I'm like, I don't know how. Please, someone explain to me how this map is so big. The map was phenomenally huge. And the thing is, you can literally just go for, story beat to story beat to story beat if you wanted to. But there's a whole lot of exploring you can do too. There are areas you can go to. It'll tell you if you go near it, right? So you got this like white portal looking thing that just circles around areas for different map, like dungeons and towns and such you can go to. And you go to these spots, and basically what it'll end up doing is it'll tell you in large all caps danger. Now, do you want to go and fight go into these areas? Are you prepared? Have you grinded enough? Have you allocated your skills? And that's another thing, skill tree. Oh my goodness. You got skill trees, and the skill trees, chef's kiss. Chef's freaking kiss. Skill trees. How do you want to kit out your characters, right? What do you like? How do you want to customize them? There Man, I could gush about this game all day. Like, I haven't played an RPG that's got me this in my feelings in so long. Man, this game is good. Guys, I'm not even there's no lies being told right now. This game is good. And if we talk about how the story unfolds, right? Going back to the story, again, I'm not going to spoil it for nobody, but how the story unfolds is just magical, right? You're left constantly with more questions than you have answers. And there are people that I've seen that have complained about there not being exposition lore dumps, like, or the traditional RPG tropes that you're so used to seeing. It doesn't have that. It doesn't. It's not going to give you, put it this way, it's not Xenogears Disc 2. You're not just sitting in a chair reading a whole wall of exposition lore dump, right? It's not Power of Friendship, my friends are my power. It's not that. This is a very hot, dark, high fantasy adult story. It's what it is. Gaming Chick says also people need to use skill more than basing off level in this game too, or they're gonna get whomped. Yes, skills are you got to master mechanics of the game. This is really where parrying, the parry slash counter system, and like, honestly, if you want to do the most damage, and Gaming Chick, I don't know if you agree with this, but I'll just say, like, for me personally, I find that putting mark on your enemy and then doing parrying does a crap ton of damage. I mean, parrying alone, if you can time all the parries. Now, Here's where I was saying, like, where the parrying gets crazy, or the ability to dodge and parry gets crazy. You get to a point where you're gonna have attacks. Like, look, you gotta watch the character. Sometimes it can get a little difficult because, like, the way the graphics, like, it's dark, right? It can be really dark. It's kind of hard to sometimes see how close an attack is to coming or landing, not coming. Sorry, no sexual references I meant there. But you have to pay attention to it. There's a little audio cue too. If you got headphones, it's probably easier to keep up with it with that. But as it's coming in, then you have the option of blocking or not blocking, parrying or dodging, parrying slash counter. So as soon as the attack is coming in, highly recommend. You got more of a window when it comes to dodging. You have a smaller window when it comes to parrying. And if you're curious as to what the parrying feels like, think of a Souls title. That's Souls, like Demon Souls, Dark Souls, Elden Ring. Um, think of Sekiro, um, Neo, that type of parry, right? You really want to get real technical, you could pull it all the way back to Onimusha, right? If we want to get super, super duper technical. But you need to parry. And sometimes when you're parrying, you'll have the dead on attacks, like one, two. Then you might have some enemies that'll mix it up where one, two, guess what? And now I'm gonna do an attack where you gotta jump to avoid it. You get an exclamation point when you see that exclamation within the diamond thing. That's how you need to you need to get out of the way. And then you get to a point where later on in the game you get a different type of parry because you can get attacks that can literally one shot you. The only way you're getting around them is to do the gradient parry. I'm not, yo, no lies. The screen will turn a certain color. They will turn the enemy will turn a certain color. You get an audio cue as to what's coming, and you just got to time it. If you can do that gradient counter, mm, instant KO. Let me put this on the screen. Game Chick says, I mix parrying plus healing plus dodge and protections on characters so it builds to enable combo attacks. So while people take damage, they're building power while healing to continue nonstop boost. Yep. And she also says the dodging parrying was easier for me as I came at it from a punch out perspective. I memorized based off visual cues and reacts. Yes, that's another thing. Yo, the punch out. Yo, thank you, Gaming Chick, for that punch out reference because it is like if you've ever played Punch Out, and I'm talking either the NES original featuring Mike Tyson or Mr. Dream, depending on uh you know which version you played, the Super Punch Out and Super Nintendo, or if you play Punch Out on Wii, it allows you it basically prepped you for this game. There's very much that. Um, if you can get that rhythm down, it's so good. Now, all the praise that I'm giving it, right? You gotta talk about the voice act. So Gustav, main character, right? He's voiced by Charlie Cox, who is Daredevil. If you guys have watched Daredevil from the Netflix era or the Daredevil Born Again, that's available now on Disney Plus. He's Daredevil. He's voicing Gustav. It also has Ben Starr. You guys know who did first Berserker. He's the main character in first Berserker. He's also Clive Rossfield in Final Fantasy 16. I'm not gonna say which character he is, but he's in the game. The entire voice cast of this, absolutely phenomenal. Like, just everybody is just absolutely killing it. From the vocal performance, I like how the game doesn't really do a whole um let me tell you. It's more of I'm gonna show you. It's show don't tell, which is so uncommon with how media is in modern day. A lot of modern day media, everything is I'm gonna tell you, I'm not gonna show you. It used to be let me show, like, the scenes, the pauses, the body language. This team captured it. Like, I'm blown away with how they were able to do it with how they have. There's so much subtlety that you have to literally pay attention to be able to catch on a lot of different things. And they knocked it out of the park. Absolutely. They knocked it completely out of the park in a way that I'm just like, it puts a lot of like you're not getting the over the top campiness of typical anime-esque RPGs. This one is very much, these characters feel real, they feel human. Their reactions and responses to things are very real. Now, I know that there are people that are out there that have said that this game is woke. Um I kind of get tired of people saying like in the whole context of everything being woke. This is woke, that's woke. I'm just like, play the game and figure it out yourself. But I'll say this as someone who's actually played the game. I haven't found anything to be woke about it. It just it is what it is. Like, it's a very good dark fantasy. You're left with a lot of questions. There's a lot of mystery. And I like when I'm having to piece things together. So another thing with the how the story plays out, and this is kind of a mechanic. So I don't think I touched on this earlier, but this is also a bit of a gameplay mechanic. Another thing it pulls from the Soul series, aside from um, the parrying, is it pulls the whole thing where you've got uh, restoratives, right? So you have a limited amount of restoratives you can use to heal your entire party, like restore everything. But there are also flags, which are, think of them as like the bonfire. You go to the bonfire in a Souls game, you get your health and everything restored, your stamina restored, um, your vials, health flasks are restored and everything like that, but it also respawns the enemies. Now in Clair Obscure Expedition 33, basically you are able to go to these to where the expedition flags are, and it restores your revives, your healing ampules, the things that give you ability points so you can do skills. It restores all your party members' health, but it also regenerates all the enemies on the field. So keep that in mind. Let me pull this up. Game Chick says, if everything is woke, then nothing is woke. Same as I see, if everything is racist, then nothing is. You ruin the purpose of the words. True, true. And honestly, I think people who are just constantly using those terms are just intellectually dishonest, and pretty much are grifting for the sake of clicks and fake outrage. I mean, there's a lot of folks that do that right now. Um, was it Vara Dark and that Star Wars girl and a lot of these other people? They all do this type of stuff. It's a Gundam is another one. They do all this stuff, and in some instances they get things right, but many other instances it's their cash cow. And a lot of these people who do all this clickbait outrage type of stuff, they don't even utilize or care about or play the things or watch the stuff that they're outraged about. And Damien is another one, right? Is pretty much it's done to make sure that they get money. And I say this a lot, but if you spend more time complaining about gaming than actually playing games, I'm just saying. um I'm about to be 40 minutes in talking about Clair Obscure. Let me touch on one last thing. What I don't like about the game, what I don't like is when you go into dungeons and towns and such, that you don't have the ability to pull up like a map, like in more modern RPGs. Now, you could say that's a bit of a bad thing. I personally don't like it, but at the same time, I understand it because I get that it is done because this is very much a traditional JRPG. Well, actually, it's not even a JRPG; it's an RPG, but its fundamental roots is in JRPGs. Um, Pretty much, it's an immersion thing, right? So you need to pay attention, look at signs when you're walking around, or make visual, mental uh reminders of how things are, where things could be, talk to people. This is one of those RPGs where it very highly encourages you to talk to different people, which is something you don't often truthfully see in a lot of RPGs these days. But it's definitely something that you have to do, truthfully. um I'm just trying to make sure that my phone's ringing for a second. But yeah, like you have to you need to talk to people. Like I've seen some folks complain about, okay, why is the story not getting exposition? All this other stuff. Like, why are you not just telling me stuff? The game does do that. If you talk to everyone, you read the expedition logs or listen to the expedition logs, and you do what we used to do in RPGs back in the day, you get the story told to you. You get additional context of things. I think in this TikTok um, era, because people are so used to things just being told to them within seconds, if you have a short attention span, this is probably not the game for you. Um, and a lot of people personally want the game to just tell them everything, like a lot of modern storytelling does. No, this is a game where you need to be immersed in the world to learn, you know? And that's how you go about it. The only thing I just dislike is just the lack of a map, because there are times where I'm like, I want to go this way, but maybe I should go that way. But the reality of it is, the reason it's even doing that is because the game wants you to explore, but it also wants you to interact with the world as a whole. So that's all I really have to say about Expedition or Clair Obscure Expedition 33. Phenomenal game, one that I really think a lot of people should definitely play, as if they can get their hands on it. If you've got PC Game Pass or Game Pass Ultimate, pick it up and play. You can download it today and start playing it on uh via Xbox Series, Xbox Series X and S. You can play it on PC if you got PC Game Pass or Game Pass Ultimate, which also gives you PC Game Pass as well. So that's one place you can play it. Another one, you can pick it up in PlayStation Store. You can play it there. You can get it on Steam. You can play it there. Um, the game, if anyone's like, oh, I don't know, maybe the game isn't living up to the hype. The game sold over 1 million copies in 3 days. That's unprecedented for an RPG, a traditional turn-based RPG at that. So yeah, the game is that good. If you're looking to get a physical copy, Xbox is easy to get a physical copy. Pretty much any retailer. PlayStation is where you're going to have a difficult time getting it. Um, yeah, gonna have a bit of a hard time getting it physically, but it's available. Amazon. I'll leave links down below if you want to pick it up. But other than that, uh, it's an amazing game. It's an amazing game. I highly think you guys should pick it up and play it and try it out. It is absolutely phenomenal. So the last part of this podcast I want to get into, and I don't want to spend too much time on it, but because I really didn't expect to spend as much time on Clair Obscure Expedition 33 as I did, but 45 minutes in, hey, I had to talk about it. Let's talk about the Nintendo Switch 2 pre-orders went up last week. Let me pull up my calendar because I can't think off the top of my head. Last week, Thursday, the 24th is when pre-orders went up. Um, Actually, if I'm correct, they went up Wednesday night, the 23rd. At least here in Hawaii, it was around like 6 p.m. when it went up, and you had to like hop on it and try and digital. If you were trying to pre-order it, you had Target, Walmart, Best Buy, I don't think Sam's Club went up in time, or Costco went up at that time, but those three, the big three right there, were where you could get it. Um, I know, and this is something where I've said this a number of times. I'm not too sure how people, if people agree or not, but trying to pre-order, I feel like a lot of sites when which is interesting, you would think these sites would be more along the lines of being on top of, hey, we're going to get this much foot traffic. We need to make sure that people can actually get in and pre-order stuff. Let me pull up what Gaming Chick said. She said Walmart, GameStop, Best Buy, Target were flooded. Yes, they were. They were apps to a point. The app, if you're trying to use the apps halfway weren't working. The websites were broken. They weren't, you know, they weren't really equipped to be able to deal with the traffic that was come in. And literally, as Gaming Chick says right here, and I completely agree with, you think they'd learn by now. Exactly. You would think that they would know by now that they need to have a better infrastructure on trying to pre-order it. I don't even know if people were able to pre-order it directly through Nintendo, because I know I signed up for it and I didn't get anything back or hear anything back from Nintendo as far as like being able to order it directly through them. So I don't know how that went. Um, I know with Walmart, I was put in a queue to be able to pre-order it, and then I sat in that queue for like 15 minutes. When it was my turn, when I tried to pre-order through Walmart, I couldn't get through. I couldn't pre-order it because like it was in my cart, and then when I tried to check out, it kept saying it was it was out of stock, right? Game Chick says Nintendo stuff isn't, it's not so May man. Nintendo baby, what you doing? That one's ridiculous. Um, but yeah, so like I had it in my card and I couldn't. And if you guys, anyone's watching right now, please hop in the chat and tell me how the experience was for you. And Gaming Chick, I know you're a Nintendo brand ambassador, so knocking on wood, I'm hoping they're sending you one. Nintendo directly is sending you one, but I know you probably pre-order stuff. You were pre-ordering like, hey, I'm gonna have me a guarantee. But like a lot of people, like myself, like we were trying to do it through Walmart, you know, couldn't get through, couldn't check out. I ran into that with whatchamacallit. I ran into that with Target. I was able to get it in my cart. I was at checkout. I had put my, my credit card and everything was ready, and I couldn't check out. I couldn't. Like it wouldn't let me check out at all. It kept giving me error message, error, 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 and I'm like, what is going on? Um, Gaming Chick says Best Buy had same problems with his queue. I mean, switch to Discord and everyone was raging something fierce. Wait, is it? Oof, goodness, goodness. Um, yeah. So like, I couldn't get it through Target. um Shout out to Wario 64 constantly putting it out there, Pons constantly saying, hey, do this, do that. Eventually I was able to get it through Best Buy on the night of the 23rd. I was able to pre-order it directly. I just pre-ordered the whole thing, paid it right then and there. Everything should be all set for me to go and pick it up the day of launch. You said the Gaming Chick says I was told I received one, but you know how that is. Saying something and doing something different things, so I pre-order on top just to be safe. Yes. I mean, I feel like we've learned that from PlayStation, where for those of y'all who don't know, Game and Chick and I are both PlayStation partners. Um, where there are a lot of times, and this is not to disparage PlayStation or anything like that, but I feel like in general, working with this industry, again, nothing is guaranteed. We're not, no one's entitled to anything. But oftentimes when you are in these creator programs, you're told you're going to get something, and 9 times out of 10 it doesn't always end up that way, right? Personally, I don't want to completely speak for Amy, but I know for me with PlayStation, with the PlayStation 5 Slim and the Pro and whatnot, I did get a Pro from them after having to constantly hit them up. But eventually, but everything else was like, you know, hands in the air. They're like, we don't know, right? And it's interesting when you're in these programs. This is a small tangent, guys. Trust me, I'll wrap it back up to the main point, and I'll get back on topic. But it's very interesting to me when you're in these creator programs, and these creator programs prioritize people who are not in these programs. You'll see YouTubers and influencers and creators who are not in these influencer programs who do get these products or these games before people who are in it, which completely defeats the purpose of being in these creator programs. Um, I personally would think if you're in a creator program, you should have a guarantee of getting whatever it is the company is creating. Otherwise, what is the point of having a creator program if it's just going to be a lottery like it kind of is with everything else? You know, that's my opinion. You don't have to agree with me, but I think the industry needs to do better. Like, for instance, the Clair Obscure Expedition 33. I'm in the creator program for that game on Lurkit. I did not receive, I have had no communication return, so I didn't receive a code, right? Um, which is interesting. I saw a lot of people who are actually very upset about that. They're in it, and other people who aren't even in the creator program got it. I get it. You want to get as many eyes on it and attention, but game industry, tech industry, look, if you have a creator influencer program, you have creators that have worked hard to get into it, they need to be a priority up there with the press that you're giving it to. And also, when you're giving it to these other creators who are not in it, but they just have big numbers, this is a slap in the face to us who have busted our asses to get into these programs. What is the point? That's all I'm saying. Um, Getting back to the point, you know, when those who are in Nintendo brand ambassador program, they will be told that they're receiving one. But is there a certain guarantee? You don't want to play it, take that risk of if they don't actually. So like I commend Gaming Chick for just making sure she pre-ordered one to get one. Now, the following day, going back to the Nintendo Switch 2 topic, the following day, of the day of the 24th, after I dropped off my kids at school, I did go over to GameStop, went to GameStop Kahala, and I pre-ordered I got in line. I got there like 8:30 because my kids go to school at 8 o'clock in the morning, Hawaii Standard Time. So I dropped them off at school, got to GameStop about 8:30, and I was like number 50 person in line. Granted, the mall doesn't open up to the general public until 7:30. So in that hour, you already had 49 people already lined up, wrapped around to the game side. Thankfully, it's inside, so it's air conditioned. I ain't had to worry about sweating my balls off because the weather been kind of ugly lately, been murky, and I think right now it's storming. This weather is so bipolar. Um, so I was in line. I was number 50. It took me. The store didn't open until 10 o'clock. Um, by the time of 10 o'clock, when the doors finally opened, there was at least 100 plus people behind me. Granted, like I told you, I'm number 50. Then you had 100 plus people behind me, right? Thankfully, with GameStop, they had a sign to say how many units they had allocated. And what's interesting is now this defeats a narrative. This defeats a narrative that's been put out there since the announcement of the Switch 2 from the direct and the pricing, right? So there, so GameStop specifically, and I assume other stores are doing this too, but GameStop specifically had about they had more of the Mario Kart World bundle Switch 2 than the just base Switch 2. Granted, it's a better value. You're paying $50 more and getting an $80 game for $30 off. So honestly, if I was in anybody else's shoes, if you're gonna get it, then I would say get if you're gonna get Switch 2, just get the Mario Kart World bundle. Just save yourself $30 and you're set up for it. So when I got initially, I was thinking I'm just gonna get, I already pre-ordered the bundle on Best Buy. If I'm gonna get it at GameStop, I might as well just get the base one because I was like, I'm getting this one for Lehua. Uh, you know, Maybe she's not gonna like we can just share the one game. No, I just was like, screw it, I'm gonna get the bundle. By the time I had already got up there anyway, the base ones had already been sold out. And I just got the bundle. And then when I ended up coming back to GameStop later on, because I traded in two Switch Lights and my OG, well, not my OG, and both my and mine Lehua Switch OLED. So basically, her Switch 2 is completely paid for. Um, when I came back like later on that day to the GameStop, all the pre-orders had sold out. So not only at the GameStop Kahala, but also at all GameStops in the state of Hawaii, all items. So what's also interesting is I saw Wario 64. If you don't follow him, follow Wario 64 is how you'll find out about a lot of deals and whatnot. Person constantly. That's the only reason I keep X notifications on anyway. Uh, the Mario Kart World bundle was sold out everywhere. You know, even trying to just buy Kart World by itself was sold out. And this goes back to the whole narrative that people have put out there. It's particularly content creators have put out there after the Switch 2 Direct, and then we saw all the people that were losing their mind over the pricing. People were saying nobody's going to pay for the Switch 2. Nobody's going to buy the Switch 2 bundle with Mario Kart World. Nobody's going to buy games that are $80. It sets a dangerous precedent for the industry. Blah 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 blah. Narrative, 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 narrative. All these being false narratives. Now, here's where it's interesting is the very people on social media, particularly influencers, I'm not going to say names. I already said names of other grifters for the woke stuff, but particular gaming content creators who are spinning false narratives and making up all kinds of crap about they weren't going to get a Switch to it's not affordable, it's not worth it, nobody's going to buy it, it's going to flop and fail. What's interesting about that is these same effing hypocrites posted on X/Twitter that they pre-ordered the game. So they pre-ordered not only the game, they also pre-ordered the bundles. Now, I bring that up for a reason. I bring it up for a reason. And the reason I bring that up is because we live in a day and age where people like to talk about things, yet they do the complete opposite of what they say. And you also, this is a time where people are very sheep minded. When I say sheep minded, they don't think for themselves. This is a very voyeuristic time where people are more willing and desiring to listen to their favorite celebrity or influencer tell them what they should like, what they should think, what they should do, versus using their own individual agency without, they don't even pick up their phone and make their own decisions. That's the type of society that we're in now. So, like I said, it's very voyeuristic. People just don't they don't think for themselves. It's an unfortunate state of where we're at now. If you are a content creator, does gaming, who does tech, who does any particular thing, you will come to find that there are people who are very sheep minded. I will give a perfect example. You guys know Fatal Fury City of the Wolves has just come out, right? As of this past week, it came out. Games has been an absolute success. People are loving it. Um, FGC is digging it. Now, I bring that up for a particular reason. There's a character in the game, Salvatore Ganucci, world famous DJ. Now, granted, I wasn't familiar with this cat because, you know, I just wasn't familiar with him. The way the FGC acted was, it was a horrible thing having this guy in here. This is tied to the fact that SNK is owned by 96% owned by the Saudi government, the Crown Prince. They're putting this guy in the game because he has ties to the Crown Prince, like they put in um, uh, the soccer guy, Cristiano Ronaldo, who is also tied because the team he plays for owned by a Saudi prince, and also because, well, I mean, the other thing is the dude has over 1 billion followers on all social media platforms. So I understood the PR reason for putting him in. You take a percentage of 1 billion, and that's more than the FGC at any point in history. That's more than the FGC is a, I'm just saying that was a brilliant marketing move. Now, Sartori Ganushi, the general reaction was negative. People were mad about him being in. He's a joke character. We got that. If you're not used to or understanding what I'm saying, fighting games typically have a joke character. It's just there. They typically have bad move sets, bad stats, bad damage output. They also take a lot of damage. They're not really meant to be taken seriously. Fighting games have always had joke characters. Now, um, the consensus was completely negative about Salvatore Ganushi. I was not very positive on him either because I'm like, I would have preferred another legacy character be brought into the game other than another real life celebrity. Now, I'm familiar with the fact that we've had real life celebrities in fighting games for the last 3 decades. It's nothing new about that whatsoever. But I also took a more positive stance in the sense of saying that I understood him being in the game was a marketing move to get more eyes on this game than would have originally gotten if it was just the FGC that they were catering to. That is, I get it. I understand marketing, I understand business. You will not be a successful business if you rely upon the same people over and over and over to be the ones to buy your product. You have to branch out outside of it. Marketing for this game also went to WrestleMania, completely all over day one, not so much night two, but it was Square Center in the ring. So you got over 1 billion people that follow Cristiano Ronaldo that are now interested in the game, or with his reach of over 1 billion, you got a percentage of that billion that are interested in the game. You got a percentage of the billion of people that follow Salvatore Ganushi that are interested in the game because he's in it, right? You also showcase to people like me and others who this even was, right? Some of this stuff is actually pretty dope. And you also showcase to people who love wrestling, who may not have even been interested in this, who, the world over. Now, you got a lot of exposure on this game. Okay. That is the positive stance I took. I still would have preferred a legacy character over Ganeshi, but I understood what was going on. Now, I knew I had to build this up. It took a while to get here, but here we are. So, one of the people who has been the most staunch anti Salvatore Ganushi in City of the Wolves was Maximilian, or Maximilian Dude, biggest FGC content creator in the world. He was the most anti, made several videos about it, tweets, all this other stuff. But guess what? That flipped when two things happened. One was when he played the game and played the character. And two, when Salvatore Ganushi actually reached out to him and there's a collaboration in the works, which means Max is going to get that. So now he likes the character. Going back to what I said about sheep mentality. Now that Max likes the character, and has given the okay to publicly like Salvatore Ganucci and City of the Wolves. What happened? Then you start seeing all the FGC content creators now like him. But it started with Max liking him. And whenever, if you understand how the FGC content creator space goes, whenever Maximilian likes or dislikes something, the FGC content creators and a large percentage of the FGC do the same thing. The monkey see, monkey do. What Max does, they copy. So you start seeing the Ganucci apology tour start happening. Now all these FGC people are like, "Oh, I like him. He's great. He's actually pretty dope." Always knew he was going to be a dope. The narrative shifted, the goalpost shifted, and then on top of that, the fan reception shifted because most fighting game players watch Max. So because he gave the permission to like Ganushi, now they like him. So if you made any video that was critical of Ganushi being in it, you're now going to start seeing commenters come in there trying to shame you for how dare you be so wrong and haha, we got you, ha, got you moment because Max liked it. This is what I'm saying. We're in a very voyeuristic, sheep minded era. People do not want to think for themselves. People want to be part of collectives. It's a hive minded mentality. I can't stand it personally. So I say all that's to say, and I built that up to talk about the Switch 2. These same people that were anti Switch 2 have now flipped over. They either pre ordered it or they're complaining that they couldn't get it. Now, my question is what happened to y'all saying that people didn't want the Switch 2? People weren't going to buy it. American families can't afford it. What happened to that? Now y'all are either crying about you couldn't pre-order it or boasting and gloating that you got it. Pick a lane. Pick a lane. And I'll end it with this too. I was streaming on TikTok the other day, and I had someone say to me that um, they want to get the Switch 2. They want to get the games, but with the games being $80, they don't know how they're going to be able to afford the game and afford rent or basic living necessities. And I said this to them: if you're a grown ass person and you're trying to toss up between a console slash a video game and your rent or your living expenses, these two should not be in the same conversation. There's no fucking reason why you should be thinking about a video game if you got to worry about paying rent. Like honestly, what the fuck is wrong with you? If you're if that's a, that should never be a toss up. Also, you guys need to understand something. Gaming is a luxury. These companies have no entitlement to make gaming more affordable for you. They're not entitled to that. And this is not me defending any of these companies. This is me just being a statement of fact. Gaming has always been an expensive hobby. It's been an expensive luxury. Anyone crying about games, the few games, not all the Switch 2 games of this, but anyone complaining about the games being $80 or so, this ain't the first time games were like that. I remember getting GoldenEye back when that was 130 something dollars, $140 back in 97. I remember when Star Fox 64 was like 140, $130 because it was a cart and the expansion, not the expansion pack, but the Rumble pack. I remember games for the, if you're old enough to know this, games for the Neo Geo when that was out. That those games were 200 and up. So if you're going to go into this to have a conversation about pricing, it has nothing to do with the tariffs. I know people tried to make this political. There's nothing about politics that has anything to do with this other than them delaying the pre-order time frame. But the pricing, you need to understand, when these companies come up with the idea to price out their products, the idea of pricing them, it was already set 1 to 2 years prior to the announcement. These prices were already set up and in place. So you need to understand that. But going back to what I said, that person on the stream that asked me, they didn't know whether, how they were going to afford to pay rent or get a, you need to get your priorities checked. A lot of y'all do. And you need to understand that video games, complaining about them, all this other stuff that people do about it, these are first world problems. There are people that are literally in other countries or even in your own country, in your neighborhood, that are homeless. There are children that are starving, that don't have food, don't have access to go to school, don't have safe environments to be in. There are people that are struggling to just have anything go right in their life. And you guys are really stressing and arguing about a video game console. It's ridiculous to me. It's absolutely ridiculous. They're bigger. That tells me that you don't have anything. It's one thing to have a social commentary about it. Hey, you have a discussion, you keep it moving. But when you got people that are just chronically on the internet, which is also another problem, which we're not going to touch on here, but people who are just chronically online and they're constantly complaining and whining and bitching and moaning and pissing and crying about all this, something that no one is forcing them to do. No one is forcing you to buy the Switch 2. No one is forcing you to buy these games. But to make like this is such a global problem when it's a first world issue, when it's a luxury, when it's a privilege to be able to get this, make it make sense. Make it make sense. I don't know. The older I get, the less I care about certain things and the more I absolutely cannot stand internet discourse on hardly anything. Because you have a lot of people that cry about things on the internet, and it's like, what is the point? What are you doing? Why are you doing this? And I just don't get it. People cry about everything these days. Literally, everything is something people do more complaining about things than they do finding solutions. And what people don't understand, and I'm touching on this from a psychological aspect, complaining gives people a dopamine hit like eating a comfort food, having sex, jacking off, doing a drug, smoking weed, smoking cigarettes. There is a dopamine hit from complaining. And people have an addiction to complaining. And that's sad. It's very sad. All this world you could be living, all the stuff that you can do. If you're in a place of privilege, and when I say privilege, I mean you got an iPhone that was made in a sweatshop somewhere in a third world country. Um, You have all your appendages. You have the luxury of having a car, being able to go out and get food and not have to worry about stuff. And that can be any ethnicity, any color, any race or group of people. Ain't complaining about video games. Please check your priorities. Because your priorities are absolutely fucked if you think that this is a bigger issue than what it is. But that's my opinion. Like I said, this is why, and again, this is an opinion. It's an opinion, and it's an opinion that is maybe it's not shared, but there are 8 billion people on this planet. That's 8 billion different worlds, 8 billion different opinions. We are in a time when we're inundated with people's opinions all the time. Sometimes you need to disconnect. Sometimes you just need to disconnect, get off the internet, go outside, touch grass, breathe air. Stop living your life through these devices. So, with that being said, that's this episode of Decked Up Gaming and Tech Podcast. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. You can catch this in audio format over on Spotify. Also video format on Spotify. You can catch the replay on YouTube as well as on X. I think going forward, I'm going to live stream these episodes just because I prefer to do that and have live engagement and whatnot. Shout out to everybody who's watching on X, everyone watching on YouTube. I might even bring it over to Twitch. I don't know. But going forward, just enjoy gaming. Enjoy life as best you can. You know, stop complaining about everything. Not everything is worth complaining about. You can have an opinion, but don't make your complaints and your grievances your whole personality. Okay. All that being said, catch you guys on the next one. I will see you when I see you. Peace out and hopefully.